This podcast is part of Another Happy Studios,
the home of podcasts with passion.
Are you ready, kids?
I challenge you to a Shaolin showdown.
It's time to duel! 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Club, your number one podcast that explores the weird, the wonderful, the wacky world of cartoons. I'm your host David, who's always wondered, how do you get the Grim Reaper to become your best friend? Here to help me find the answer, is it the Grim Reaper? No. Is it the Boogeyman? No, it's my co-host Brian. Say hello, Brian.
Hello, David.
How are you?
I'm great, David.
This is our first episode of our newest podcast, which is Saturday Morning Cartoon Club. So I want to welcome you, Brian, for joining me on this adventure here.
You're more than welcome.
And thank you so much for listening. We want to welcome you here. We have new episodes once a month, so make sure that if you haven't already, you're subscribed to us on your favourite podcasting app of choice. And we are going to be exploring, like I said, the weird, the wonderful, the wacky world of cartoons. This is our first episode where we're going to be talking about the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. So this was your pick. So do you want to explain to people why you've chosen this as our first episode?
I'm already feeling the pressure.
Yeah?
I'm already feeling the stress.
Because now people know that this is your choice.
No, never mind that. 2 podcasts.
I know.
Jesus. I suppose The Grim Adventures of William and Amanda. It doesn't sound quite right.
No.
Yeah. Where to begin?
Start at the beginning, I suppose.
I suppose
It's a good place to start.
Yeah, it would be one. Yeah. So I was born in Drogheda Hospital.
Okay, that's a little bit too close to the start.
Right. I can't speak for what the broadcast was in America. Mm-hmm. I only speak for myself. And watching
that's okay. That's all I asked for.
These shows in Ireland.
Yeah.
And what we got in Ireland was Cartoon Network. Mm-hmm. We had Sky, and it was always number 1 and 2 on
601 and 602.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the top of the list of that like kids category.
Yeah.
I can't remember the times Billy and Mandy would air, but it was one of, let's say, 6 top tier shows I would watch, and it's in the top 3 of my favourites to think about. I'm one for nostalgia. I like looking back, especially if it feels like what I look back to is stuck in time.
Yeah.
The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy come from a period of time where cartoons were made for entertaining kids and never really concerned itself of making said cartoon a canonized event.
Absolutely, yeah. It's an adventure of the week kind of thing.
Yeah,
where
it never made canon of any of the episodes in the general sense. Although Billy and Mandy was clever enough to have certain episodes where they would spotlight certain events or make references to actions or characters, and even return some characters, and it would acknowledge what happened before.
Yeah.
I heard a term.
It was nearly like if it was acknowledged that it previously happened, that's what canonized it. If something else referred to it.
I once heard a term in negative canon, negative continuity, where Billy can lose his nose in one scene and in the next it's just there. Or,
it's kind of like that the Family Guy thing where like shot to shot it's not canon. Like, you know, something will happen to Peter, but the next shot he's completely different, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's just a rolling.
Yeah, but whereas Family Guy treats it as a joke, Billy and Mandy, I suppose it is a joke. It is a joke, but it's a joke in the sense that it's something to make the kids laugh.
Yeah.
Do you know? Whereas something like Family Guy hones it in, like that's what Family Guy is known for.
Yeah.
The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I think the most standout thing for me was the most action-packed adventure when it comes to the very few shows I watched on Cartoon Network. I'm not even going to mention anymore, nor will I compare The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy to any, because we're here to talk about this.
Yeah.
The reason I chose this as the first episode to air on our brand new podcast is because I went first.
So you had to pick one.
And I suppose I wanted to pick one that I felt it would shine the spotlight that it deserves. It would add a certain prestige to it, and prestige as far as our Saturday morning cartoon club could provide one.
Yeah.
But man, at the end of the day, right, it's a very good and very clever written show. I chose a select few episodes for you to watch, and I watched them and a few more.
Yeah.
To determine what do I want to
hone in on and discuss and
remind myself what I love about the show.
Yeah.
What I can remember about the show.
Yeah.
See if I can recall the very first time I did watch it, or at least the times when I did watch it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And boy, David, did I remember everything.
That's good.
Every episode I watched, I remembered it all. Mm-hmm. The episode with the giant chickens, I remembered it. Mm-hmm. The episode where Billy and Mandy are fighting over Grim in court, I remember very well. Mm-hmm. I remember everything. Mm-hmm. So, what's it about?
Well, I was going to say, just before we jump into kind of the actual show itself, I wanted to come at it from my perspective of my history with Billy and Mandy.
Yeah.
So, like you said there, so you were a Cartoon Network kid. I was not a Cartoon Network kid. I was the kid I was a Disney Channel and I was a Nickelodeon kid. And if there was nothing on either of those, I was a Cartoon Network kid.
Yeah.
And I think that picking Billy and Mandy as our first episode is actually a fantastic pick. It's a great pick because we want to celebrate the kind of the weird and the wonderful and the wacky world of cartoons and like shine a spotlight on animation as a whole. And I think having rewatched some episodes, the ones you gave me, it's actually Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy is exactly that. It's weird, it's wacky, it's wonderful. It's just, I'm not expecting anything to happen, but also like everything that does happen is completely, I accept it all within the world of the show. We can talk about it a little bit later as we go through some of the episodes that we watch together. But it walks a fine line where, or no, it doesn't even walk a fine line. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that, you know, you could have one episode that is fully Grim, Billy, and Mandy all going on an adventure together. The next episode, it's just Billy. The next one, it's just Billy and Mandy. There's no Grim whatsoever, and it almost feels as though watching it this time around,
As an adult.
This show could have just been the adventures of Billy and Mandy and the Grim Reaper be a side character that occasionally popped up in the same way that the Boogeyman sometimes pops up, or the Demon Guy, or the Ghost Hunter, or like the Supernatural Hunter, you know, like the Grim, even though it's named the Grim Adventures, this world could have existed and all these plots and things could have happened 100% without the intervention of Grim being there. Do you know?
It was great at world building, wasn't it? Like when you think about it, think about all the stylistic characters there are in the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Every character they introduce a sort of realm that character brought.
Yeah, that you can have the mundane everyday town of Ennsville, and then you could have one that is just purely supernatural and it's down in limbo and with demons and all this kind of stuff. The next one, then you could have elves and dwarves and it's a supernatural element.
Look at us talking very deep and delving
that's
into
what we're here to do.
The existentialism of a cartoon show.
But that's what makes that's what we're here to do, is we're here to talk about these great cartoons that, yes, they are made for kids, but they have an extra layer to them, you know?
And we're not forcing it. We're not trying to like pull, strap ropes to these deeper meanings.
No.
We're not trying to horse them out. Like, they're there, they're present. You know? Like, I won't lie, there's a lot of adult humor. There was a lot of suggestive adult humor and dark humor in the Grim Adventures, and no kid's gonna recognize that back in the day. Like, there's this one episode where Billy brings the undead and he's left outside to defend himself, and the hunter Delgado comes and he starts shooting him up with his like cannon hand, and at one point he uses a chainsaw, and then Billy contributes with a stick. And I remember drawing that. I remember getting the pencil on a page and just drawing all that out.
That's what you want as a kid.
That's what a good show does. It makes you draw what you watch on TV, and you love it.
I want to be a part of this in some way. Yeah, you want to...
Oh, it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's not an episode I watched in preparing for this, because I wanted to watch the episodes that I wanted to see, is this actually more clever than I remember it being. And the majority of them were, yes, they were very well written and very clever, and those are the ones I sent you. But to the folks listening to us, maybe, who don't know exactly what the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy is,
I have a little bit of history for it here.
Do you?
So, yeah.
well prepared.
Man, listen, it's episode 1. I got to set a good foot going forward, you know? So, it was originally a TV series entitled Grim and Evil. It was created by Maxwell Adams until it eventually spun off and became The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. So, it was kind of, I think it was a 2-season show that would split time between The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and then...
Evil Cairn.
Yeah, which was a was it a mad scientist or something like that died, and his brain was implanted into a bear?
And he has 2 generals to support his army of world domination.
I think we meet one of them later in the show. That's
General Scar.
Scar, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they salvage that character and bring him into the Billy and Mandy show as a recurring character. Whereas the other 2, they make a presence just as much as cameos.
Yeah,
Come
I don't
and go.
remember seeing them in any of the episodes that I watched. Anyway, it was only kind of in my research that I found out about them, or even realizing that Scar was a carryover from that original Grim versus Evil,
and I knew
Grim and Evil,
and I knew he came from that show, and I thought he fit fine. In Billy and Mandy.
There's no characters that are introduced in Billy and Mandy that I feel like, oh, this person wouldn't exist in this world, whether it be Hoss Delgado or Irvin or
Eris,
or the Boogeyman or anyone like that, or the dwarves and the elves. Like I said, like you can have all of those elements. You can have supernatural, you can have a fairy tale, you can have everyday Ennsville characters,
monsters and demons.
Yeah, it all just fits.
There were
exactly the world.
There were a few recurring like demons that could be, this is the arch nemesis for Grimm. This it started off with the jack-o'-lantern pumpkin.
Yeah, in the Halloween special, yeah.
And then there was one that was the demon. The name is leaving me, but he marries Billy's aunt, and then he has a kid, and that kid is a recurring character himself as Billy's cousin. And then there's another one that's like a knight who wants to serve Grimm as the master, and he ends up serving Mandy instead. And they keep going through like a revolving door of which one is the next one. And I think once they got to the Boogeyman, he was only introduced in one episode.
Yeah.
And then they made him the titular villain of the movie.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation for
later on, yeah. Well, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy premiered in August of 2001. It ran for 6 seasons. It had a total of 84 episodes, and it aired its final episode in November of 2007.
the final episode.
Final episode of 2007.
I think that's when I grew up.
That was the moment,
Yeah.
November 2007.
Pretty much,
10
yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
You know it?
Was I 10 years old?
You would have been, yeah.
I would have been, 10 years old. Because around the time these shows, and these I mean for the sake, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, when they stopped airing, that's when I stopped watching.
Yeah.
But I don't mean to say that as if I made an active decision on that. I mean that because I have no memory of what the final episode of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy were, and I never came to learn what it was because I was a kid, and then I grew up, and then the next thing you know, you're more focused on the other things you're doing when you're a preteen. You turn into a preteen, and that's, I don't know, socializing, I guess, living.
You know what's funny is when it came to Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, I was never concerned with how it ended. I was always concerned with how it began. I was always like, how did Grimm end up in this situation? Because I never saw the original, I never saw the pilot. So I think, I remember from being a kid, they had referenced it maybe a few times. But I was convinced that they had never shown it. And I was like, we need to see how Grimm became their best friend.
Yeah, why is this setting established? Like, never mind the fact that we're following...
We haven't even told what the actual plot is. We've only given just things. So the plot of Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy is 2 kids, Billy and Mandy, they trick the Grim Reaper into becoming their best friend. And they play a game together, they lose the game, and Grimm has... I guess some unholy deal that he made, even though he talked himself into it, is now their best friend and essentially their slave, for the remainder of the series.
How it goes, I like the little reference that Grimm comes to collect the soul of Billy's hamster, and he brings Billy and Mandy to Limbo.
Yeah, to do what?
Play a game of Limbo.
Play a game of Limbo. I think that's the level of the comedy where it's like, you're not going to get that as a kid.
It's on the nose.
It's on the nose.
No. Oh, God, no. What 6-year-old is going to be thinking about, I wonder if this little realm they're playing this Limbo game is actually Limbo.
Yeah.
No one's thinking about that.
You think the Green Reaper comes, he opens a portal, and he goes to this monstrous realm. It's like, this is hell. This is
it's probably the first
place.
thing you're going to be thinking.
Yeah.
But the fact that you said, what's the Grim Reaper doing here? What's a Grim Reaper?
Yeah.
I don't know what the Grim Reaper was when I was a kid watching this. He was just a skeleton with a hood and a little sword thing.
Yeah.
A sight. Who the hell knows what that thing is called?
Well, they reference it enough. You eventually learn, all right. Yeah.
Eventually.
There's little linguistic things like that are very funny. And there's that one with Limbo, playing Limbo in Limbo. But there's also a great joke in the second episode that I watched where it's when Billy's mom keeps seeing Grimm, and
Yeah.
she thinks that he's a skeleton. She thinks that Billy has died, and she essentially has a nervous breakdown. And Billy's dad puts her in the car and says, "All right, sis, thanks, take care of her." And she drives away. And then he turns to Billy and he goes, "Okay, your Aunt Sis is going to be." And so it's like, I thought, like, well, obviously watching it, you think, "Oh, that's his sister."
Yeah.
But then when he turns to Billy, he goes, "No, your Aunt Sis," as in her name is Sis. And it's like, what is it? Like, it's just such a funny small touch of a grammar joke that is going to go over your head as a kid. But when I was watching it this time, I was like, okay, that's actually pretty funny.
For what adult is going to be watching a show on a children's channel that has no presence in today's day and age?
No, who's going back to watch this is the people that have nostalgia for it. Like, I don't
Like
even,
us.
Yeah, like, is Cartoon Network even still a thing? I don't know.
It is, but it's never been as good as it was.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
But that's
But-
yeah. It's
it's-
when we watched it, it was the best.
It was the best, you know.
and whoever watched it 10 years before us, it was the best for them. You
Was
know,
it though?
It's always It's
I don't know
it's-
about that, man.
Whatever you experienced is always the best. You know, it was never any better than when I was a kid.
When you say that you didn't know how Grimm came to be in this situation, whether or not I remember it as a kid, but watching these episodes as an adult, I found it to be quite recurring that they would mention how Grimm is a slave to Billy and Mandy,
Yeah.
and that he did lose to them in a game of limbo, because there are certain episodes that pop up that reference that he is under contract with them, he can't leave them, and that he hates them. He actively states on numerous occasions how he hates them. Imagine that. You're living with two people for the rest of however long, and you're actively saying, "I hate you."
Yeah, like he is.
It's not good. It's not good for the anxiety, is it?
No, it seems as though over the course of the series, there's never a time when Grimm is like, "No, I actually do want to stay with yous." You know, I was convinced that would be in some way the kind of final episode would be that a situation where Grimm does have the chance to leave and he chooses to stay with them.
But that's not what cartoon TV shows did
No,
back in the day.
No,
like
but you could have seen that be wrapped up in a movie or something like that. Like these days now,
These days, yeah.
Yeah.
But not back then.
No.
Back then, it
had just ended.
It was simpler times.
It's just-
That's it.
yeah.
It's simpler times.
But there's often times throughout the series where Grimm makes reference to the contract, yes, and how he's having a terrible time.
Yeah.
And then some characters will go, like, even when he's being hunted by
Hostelgado.
Hostelgado, he is trying to kill him, and he says, "Good, put me out of my misery." And he goes, "Actually, no, I'm going to leave you like this
Yeah.
now that I know that this is bad." And for him, that's the ultimate torture. It's even referenced in the movie as well. Is like his worst nightmare is having to be friends with Billy and Mandy. Like, even though he is friends with them, and it kind of is, I suppose, it's an evolution of acceptance as
Yeah.
opposed to I'm going to actually get to know these kids or get to like these kids. It's just I have to be here, so I'm just going to get on with it.
Like, there is one episode where Billy and Aaron get stuck to a phone to a realm where Cthulhu exists, and Mandy forces Grimm to go save him, and he's going, "Oh, why?" You know, because he's concerned that I think that the phone broke as opposed to Billy was stuck to the realm, and Mandy says to him, because the grim adventures of Mandy doesn't sound as good as the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. Like, I remember that being one of the very few jokes I copped as a kid that broke the fourth wall. But then there's another episode involving Martians, and a Martian disguised as a lawyer comes to save Grimm from his contract because he takes him off Earth, and that episode ends where Billy has a moment of smarts and he actually makes Grimm realize that, you know, you can pick your friends and you can pick your nose,
But you can't pick your friend's nose.
Yeah.
Is that what that's from? Because I always think that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
was,
Billy says that
that's
as
really funny.
as he's strapped to a chair and he's about to have his brains, you know, taken out for some reason.
That's funny because that is something that I do think about whenever that phrase comes up. I go, yeah, you can pick your friends, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose.
But even that's a moment for him displaying some smarts and being actually intelligent. The next scene is him like,
yeah.
he's back to his old ways, like Billy, the happy-go-lucky, clueless buffoon of a...
Let's call him what he is. He's the lovable goofball.
Yeah.
He's in, you know, that character who is in the trial episode, the one that's the green demon kind of thing.
Fred Burger.
Yeah. He is what a lot of people would probably think Billy is, where it's like annoying and you don't like him.
Yeah.
But that's not the case at all. Billy is genuinely a lovable goofball that he can have those moments of smarts, but a lot of the time, 95% of the time, he is dumb. But it's like, it is lovable goofball dumb. It's not stupid idiot dumb. Even though sometimes it is stupid idiot dumb. He walks that line really, really well. You know?
In the right room, Billy is the smart guy. He is the clever guy.
Yeah. He's just very rarely in that room. But he is sometimes in that room.
The other time. Man, there's so much to this. But yeah, look, I scoured a lot of the episodes to prepare for this. And I said, I gotta pick the most appropriate episodes that I thought best represented the overall theme of the show.
Yeah.
And that had certain episodes where actions took place that, even though it's not, that they felt like canonical events.
Yeah.
Like they're like pillars in the overall run of the show.
Yeah.
As if a character dies, like a major character were to die all of a sudden. You know, not that that's the case. Like, characters die all the time in this show.
Yeah.
Some humorously, some disturbingly. And the next episode, it's redundant. It's negative continuity. None of it matters. So I wanted to know, what did you think about the selection of episodes? Like, I'm not talking about one by one. I'm talking about overall. Did you feel like the episodes you watched best captured the overall tone of the show?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the episodes that you picked were quite good. I suppose you could do a rundown of the episodes if you wanted, just in case anyone at home wanted to listen or wanted to watch those episodes. But
like,
just
look,
to get a general sense of what we talked about.
It's not as if it's like you don't have to make a huge commitment to these type of shows, but like I picked a lot of the shows based on my memory.
Yeah.
And I did use the help of Wikipedia to scour through the synopsis, and it was well worth it because I loved nearly every episode that I went through. So like there's this one episode where Billy reads a nursery rhyme to Billy and Mandy, and he uses his powers to suck them into the book.
Yeah.
And they have to play the role, and while Mandy goes through the motions of doing whatever she does, Billy meets Pinocchio, and Pinocchio wants to boil him and eat him alive.
Yeah.
And then Mandy comes to the rescue, turns him into a chair, and Pinocchio gets sat on by whatever grandma from those old folk tales. But that's one thing I wanted to mention, since I brought it up there when I unplanned. No matter how many times Billy finds himself in a predicament where he needs saving, Mandy's always there to save him.
Yeah, they are best friends. Like, even though she would never admit it.
Her admitting that she's friends with Mandy is like me saying I'm Russian. I don't know where that came from. It's a factual incorrect aspect of it.
Yeah.
Do you know? That's how Mandy would perceive her admitting that she's friends with Billy.
Yeah.
But it's more like she keeps him.
Yeah.
It's like Mandy has no friends. She'd enslave the world if she can. But
she has a soft spot for Billy.
But is it?
But she would never admit it.
Are we delving too deep into it?
I mean, it is. Like, how would you explain it otherwise? Like, you know, what does Billy offer Mandy? What does he really offer her? Other than friendship, other than someone to hang out with, someone that he doesn't judge her for being.
He's probably too happy.
Yeah,
and
he's the optimistic. She keeps him around because he's the level of happiness that she can tolerate. You know, while she is the complete negative, the complete opposite of that. You know,
I just feel I have to say again, no kid watching this.
No, we're definitely looking at this way too hard.
Yeah.
I think to answer your question, okay, as to like, was this a good selection of episodes? So the episodes that we watched were Nursery Rhymes, My Peeps, Here There Be Dwarves, Which Came First, Dakota Ring, Dream Mutt, Sight for Sale, My Fair Mandy, Keeper of the Reaper, Pandora's Lunchbox, Waking Nightmare, Heartburn. I think that was it. I watched a few other episodes as well, just kind of to get a wider view. But funnily enough, with every episode that you chose, it showed off a consistency throughout all the episodes.
Yeah.
But yet everything felt so varied. And that's what I mean by, like, you could have any kind of theme or any situation.
Yeah. They were never wanting for, what's the story of this week's episode?
Yeah. How do we break this episode? What are we going to do here?
Yeah.
It didn't ever feel like that. One thing that I did notice that was consistent throughout each and every episode, though, was that there will come a time in the episode where we're just going to change up the animation style. And it's like, that's perfectly fine. We can do that. There's moments where Billy loses his eyesight.
Yeah.
And Grim uses the scythe to, like, restore his eyes. But and the whole thing of it is that Billy can see how people are going to get into severe accidents. But then later on in the episode, he like hits him with the eyes, and it completely changes the animation style. It like goes to like anime style. It goes to like cutesy Looney Tunes world.
And then there's one that it goes to like dirty punk rock.
Yeah, every single style is completely different. And then there's this moment in Trial of the Reaper. Is that the name of it? Where they're on trial? Keeper of the Reaper.
Yeah.
Where they bring Erwin down, and he's looking around the courtroom, and it's like we see from Erwin's eyes what these monsters and all actually look like. We're no longer seeing them in the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy art style. We're seeing them how a character in this world
like
would perceive
how
them.
up close and gross and disfiguredly detailed they are. I think SpongeBob is well known for doing.
I wouldn't be
episodes
surprised.
like that.
Yeah.
But there is this one other part where here there be dwarves. Billy's walking in the woods, singing. He's walking in the woods. And he gets approached by Yogi Bear and
That was another element.
and the other little bear, Boo Boo.
Yeah.
And they're depicted as like
Drug addicts.
Drug addicts.
Drug addicts in the park, like looking for a picnic. Oh, come on, please.
Oh, that's a nice little basket back there. Oh, it seems like very nice sandwiches. Oh, yeah, sure, man, whatever.
Is that
basket?
Is that the episode where at the beginning Billy wants them to go on a picnic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, oh, a picnic. You want to know what happened last time? And they cut away to Billy getting taken away by an ape. And then Mandy comes in. It's like, oh, you don't want to go on a picnic. You remember the last time it happened? They show the exact same flashback again. It's like, that's pretty funny.
They cut back to it like 3 times.
The mom comes in,
Yeah.
and they cut back to it again. The dad walks in, and they go, okay, yeah, I get it, okay. And then they cut it back, and he was the gorilla dressed up, and we see it from a completely different angle. I'm like, okay.
Frackle!
That is a really, really funny cutaway gag where you know the joke. Oh, guess what? You don't know the joke, actually. So it was very funny for that kind of stuff.
But there was that one, but just back to the detailed shots, there was this one shot where Boo Boo says, don't let him escape, and you see like he's got like tits. He's got details like tits. Like you can see his nipples.
Yeah.
And then you see Yogi Bear like howling after him. And then all of a sudden, hey bears, you can't get me, I'm in a cave. And it's like, yeah, we bears are scared of caves.
You got us there. It's a good point.
But towards the end of the episode where it's the battle between the dwarves and the elves, and then all of a sudden this general
Army general, yeah.
just pops up saying, this is too violent for you to look, and then you have to watch a panda or like a koala,
yeah.
and then it cuts back to like a mid-shot battle where this looks actually really good. Why aren't we watching this?
They don't ever have a problem breaking the fourth wall, and it's like a small little tiny fourth wall break. It's not like immersion breaking, but it's like, okay, yeah, we're on the same level here.
I remember one fourth wall break that was so in your face. I don't know if it's in the episodes I sent you, but it's like it's one of the later seasons when they're in school and a character was saying something. It might have been a 2-part episode called Wrath of the Spider Queen, and Mandy just for some random reason has enough of what Billy or the other person was saying, and she says, I'm out of here, and she just walks towards the screen and like enters like a door that's invisible and just goes down the steps, and Billy is like, what do I do now? And then he's like, Graham,
what's the line?
Mandy left. I don't know, I'm not in this scene. He says off screen.
Yeah.
But
it's the kind of fourth wall breaking, and it's a cartoon where if you don't see it in the frame, it doesn't exist. You know, that kind of way, where you know, a character like when Billy's running away from Pinocchio, and he'll run from screen right to screen left, and Pinocchio's there, and he goes and he like turns around and he runs then from screen left to screen right, and guess what? Pinocchio's on the other side as well. It's like, because we no longer see Pinocchio, he could be anywhere.
Just think of it as a drawing. When you draw, when you draw a nice picture, you're not going to be thinking, I'm
confined by what's on the other side of this page.
Another one of the episodes.
But before you say that, can I just say one of my favourite fourth wall breaks?
Oh, yeah.
Was in the movie, actually, when they find a birthday cake, and Mandy goes, like, it's not mine or Billy's birthday, and Erwin goes, well, maybe it's the birthday of the show, you know, as in the anniversary of the Grim Adventures. I just thought that one was so funny. It was so unexpected that I was like, oh, that's pretty funny.
You know, there was this episode that I actually really liked as a kid. It felt like this is the perfect like survival mode. I felt the thrill of like escape from this. It was when they're on a school trip and the bus breaks down in the desert, and Billy, Mandy and Grim, they wander off towards a cave and they come across giant mutant chickens. As if they're like dinosaurs created in a lab.
Again, that's not supernatural. It's not fairy tale.
No.
But it completely fits. Oh yeah, we're just going to have mutant chickens in here. But you know, it's like take Grim out of this story and it's just Billy and Mandy.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, this makes sense for the world.
But a fourth wall break in that, where kids are definitely not going to cop, is they're waiting for the exposition character, and lo and behold, a scientist comes in to give a big exposition dump on what the lab is and all that, and then they all have to escape. I just really like that episode, and Billy loses his shit after eating the egg where his tongue just dissolves into ash. Nothing too major for canonical events, but it's
then what is?
No, what is?
Yeah.
Because another episode that would have, you think, major catastrophic event is Sight for Sale, where Billy sells Grimm's sight to Erwin. And what's Erwin's gig? he's always trying to get Mandy to fall for him. And so he gets the power of Grimm's sight.
Something that we learn in the movie
Yeah.
that happens very, very often. And Erwin is not the only person that has had the power of Grimm's sight. He just keeps losing it to people. Like, we get this huge montage of people who have had Grimm's sight.
Yeah. I really like this episode because we're talking about how characters are always the same and there's never big plans to develop them beyond what they are initially conceived of.
Yeah.
Mandy being the negative, evil, demonic.
Yeah, every episode starts with Grimm is the Grim Reaper, Billy is the goofball, and Mandy is the emotionless one. And
Yeah.
like, that's your core base there. And it's like, okay, what you do in the episode is fine, but like, those three characters, they have to have those three personalities by the end of the episode and the start of the next one.
There's no change in them.
No. You can have the pageant with Mandy where she's dolled up and she's forced to smile, and which completely tears apart the reality of the cartoon. And like, again, another fourth wall break.
And where does it take them?
The next episode, they're back to the three of them.
Oh, but where does it take them in the end of that episode?
Where does it take them back?
They wake up.
Oh
as...
yeah, don't. Yeah, I want to talk about that later. Yeah,
Right.
They end up as another well-known TV show, but I want to talk about that in a different aspect later. But the way that those characters end up at the end of that episode, the next episode,
that's fine.
irrelevant.
Like, yeah.
We're not going to talk about that. Yeah.
But Grimm goes to hug Billy and says, I don't know, man, but hold me tight. And Erwin says, what about me, yo?
Yeah, you'll be fine.
he says it as if, I don't like you.
Yeah, I'm contracted with these two. I
Yeah.
don't care about you.
That seems like a major event where Mandy smiles. Something that stands against the test of time, the sands of time, whatever that saying is. That's like, this should not exist.
Yeah.
But another one that I thought, this is a major development in this show where Erwin is treated like a villain, where he puts Mandy under a spell, where she falls for him. And like Grimm and Billy are actively trying to rescue Mandy.
Yeah.
Grimm's a big giant slug, and I always thought Billy avoiding Erwin's blast to zap him was, are we relying on Billy now to save the day? But Mandy being in a position of vulnerability is the closest thing we'll get to her having some sort of development beyond her emotionless, evil, careless personality.
I wouldn't even describe Mandy as evil because I always feel as though she has the capacity to be evil.
Yeah.
But it's not like she's actively doing things to be evil to be a bad person.
Her being evil is not worth her time.
Yeah. I was like, I know I'd be good at it.
Yeah.
So why would I bother doing it? I know what the outcome would be,
But I do like seeing her being vulnerable because Billy being vulnerable, it's
commonplace.
It's another day for him.
Yeah.
Whereas Mandy is always the one you rely on to save the day, and when she needs rescuing, and it happens a few times, I appreciate seeing a character with such power in authority and assurances.
Yeah. And so she's so self-assured.
Yeah.
There's no question. Like, even with the pageant episode, like, there's that moment where she asks Billy and Grimm, do you think I'm pretty? Like, and they're like, what? Like,
that's not you. This isn't you.
Who are you? And what have you done with Mandy kind of situation?
Yeah.
You know?
But I like that. That's some sort of step forward to elevate the characters just a bit.
Yeah. I mean, we see her fear then in both Heartburn, or what's the last? Is the last one called Heartburn? The last episode with Erwin?
Yeah, Heartburn is one of the last episodes.
Yeah, the last episode, and then as well as at the movie when we see Mandy's true deepest fear, and it's that she grows up and she develops feelings. Like, that's her fear, and she sees an older version of herself that's married to Erwin, and she's like, oh, one of my biggest regrets is never telling Grimm and Billy how much they meant to me. And you're like, no, stop, don't say that.
I actually wasn't going to send this episode to you because I thought it was very straightforward, but upon second thought, I watched it and said, no, you have to watch this. It's the Dream Up one.
The which one?
The Dream Up one. Oh, did you not watch this?
I don't think so,
Jesus,
no. Describe this one to me.
Bad form, Brian.
Yeah, bringing this one up now that I didn't watch.
This is the episode where I think Alan Tudyk voices Billy's dream dog.
Oh, I did watch this one.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? They combine 4 dogs together to make the one perfect dog. And Mandy and Grimm are like, yeah, I'll give it a day.
Yeah, they're all talking in like a show, and it's happening in live, like in the moment. Billy's doing his day-to-day antics with the dog, and Mandy, Grimm, and whoever else are talking to a live audience, saying, yeah, we'll give it a day, it's not going to last long. And it's all because Billy tells them, no, you can't sleep in my bed. No, bad dog, you sleep in your own shed. And
out into the doghouse, yeah.
the wiggy jiggy Jed didn't like that, and so he goes to steal all the beds in Enville. And then he throws a plate of gelatin at him, and it just kills him. Unceremoniously. Like, I feel a bit disturbed with that death. When Wiggy Doogie Dead was referenced in Keeper of the Reaper, saying, look what Billy does to his pets. I was like, yeah, that's what he does. He doesn't care. Justice for that dog. I somewhat cared for him, and I was a bit disturbed by him. So that's a great callback to see all these references of what happened before.
Yeah.
Because when the start of an episode of Billy and Mandy happens, it's as if it's its own entity.
Yeah.
And nothing before takes place. But that episode, Keeper the Reaper, that somewhat feels like a series finale.
Yeah, that I think of the episodes I watched, that one absolutely feels like the most like a series finale, even more so than the movie itself. That one definitely does feel the most like because it does reference a lot of the past. Even Billy's spider son, which wasn't anything. I had to look it up afterwards. I was like, what was this story all about? And there were 2 episodes, I suppose, with Billy's spider son.
More than a few,
Is there?
actually. Yeah, Billy.
And when he turns up in court and Billy is there immediately trying to like squish him. It's like he's always hated this spider that he accidentally sat on the egg and hatched, and the spider thought that he was his dad. You know, that's the long and the short of it, really.
So when you watch that episode, you're like, what's this character all about?
Yeah, genuinely hadn't never experienced him whatsoever. So I was like,
and then you looked him up, and is that what you did?
Pretty much, yeah. I was like, what? Who exactly was this?
No,
guy?
you're right too, because Jeff the Spider is one recurring character with its own narrative to bring.
Yeah.
Just like Nigel Plantor and the Toad Principal. It's a complete riff on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And then there's another one which what's another storyline that is just it's often recurring in Billy and Mandy. It's gotta be
you have Eris, and you have
yeah, but those are like
Hunter.
Those are like characters exist in the
existing
show
within the world as opposed to arcs.
Like those characters pop up with their own new narrative.
Yeah, what do they do in this week? Yeah.
Whereas Jeff the Spider and whoever else I was just talking about, they pop up with a consistency to their story, you know? Well, then again, I suppose Hostelgado and Eris would pop up with... They're still the same characters. It's not as if they're going to change.
Yeah.
But the Keeper of the Reaper, you know, it starts off with that Fredberger character.
Yeah. A lot of time is dedicated to Fred, I'll be honest with you, yeah.
I really like that episode, the Keeper of the Reaper. The courtroom scene, the judge.
Which again is like such a strange setting for a kids' TV show.
Very much,
you know? And it's like, this could have been a regular courtroom, but no, we're going to go do this in the supernatural courtroom.
It's funny how the two... Because this is a full-on reference to the show, with Billy and Mandy tricked Grimm into being their friend, and now they're fighting custody over him. And then he's kept in a cage, and then for some reason Irwin is later kept in a cage as well. The song they sing in that episode as well, I really like it as well. I think I watched that first in America.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie, America is a location for me for that episode, and strangely enough, the other event that feels like the finale of the show, which is Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure.
Yeah, well, as far as I'm aware, Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure is the finale of the show. It was the last thing. So that was another thing that I wanted to bring up in our kind of brief history of the show, is that Billy and Mandy actually had 3 TV movies. So they had Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure, they had Billy and Mandy's Wrath of the Spider Queen, which you referenced earlier, and then they had one called Underfist Halloween Bash, which was a Halloween special that featured much more of the side characters.
Hostelgado, Scar, Irwin, Jeff the Spider, and Fredberger.
Yeah.
That I did not watch. I never heard of it.
No, me neither. I didn't realise it until today.
I decided not to watch it because it's technically it or the crossover with the Kids Next Door episode. One of those two is technically, according to the dates, was the last aired content of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. And I decided, no, I'm going to treat this reintroduction of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy for this recording, for this podcast, as if it's a start and finish for me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I decided that the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, the Big Boogie Adventure movie, that to me is the finale. Yes. And I was in America when I watched it.
There you go.
No knowledge on how to operate a laptop or computer. No iPhones for little Brian over here.
No.
Reliant on...
2007-ish, yeah.
Yeah. So 7, 6, something like that. Me, my sisters, and my mother went to Florida. We stayed in some sort of like house, and you know, I said, "There's no Sky here."
Yeah, just cable TV. How does this work? Yeah.
I don't know how it worked, but it worked for me, and
you figured it out. Yeah.
it was nighttime, and all of a sudden, Billy and Mandy popped up.
I know this. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is from back home. Yeah.
But it's something I hadn't seen before. And it was the movie. And it was like, this doesn't feel like a straightforward Billy and Mandy episode.
Yeah.
Because we had the whole introduction with, talking about the movie now, set in the future, with a robot Billy and a robot Mandy. And
There's always, when it comes to like movies and stuff like that, there's always just some element that you go, this seems like a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
This seems much more. Because, I mean, each show, like we said there's 84 episodes, but each episode was either, it's 20-minute episodes, so episodes were either 20 minutes, or they would be split down the middle and you have two 11-minute episodes, like within the 22 minutes, an A story and a B story. Even the first episode, I watched the first episode, it was actually 3 stories.
Yeah, a lot of them at the start time were three stories.
Yeah, so they were like 7 minutes long. You know, it felt like it was a really like small animated short film almost. You know?
But
like even I watched, so the first episode was Billy and Mandy meeting Grimm. The second episode was the one with
the mother
going crazy, and then the third part of that episode was just opposite day, where Billy and Mandy tricked Grimm into being opposite day and him doing all their chores. And there's no supernatural elements to this whatsoever. You take Grimm out of that and replace him with an adult, and it's completely different. Like it's exactly the same. You know?
I think it's more fitting that it is the Grim Reaper as opposed to an adult.
Yeah, but it's someone that has to be there. They're contractually obligated to be there. But
do you know,
just like completely like 3 stories that like one taking place in the supernatural world of Limbo.
Yeah.
The second one, everyday stuff. You have the small element of the Grim Reaper scaring the mom and psychologically scarring her, and then the third one, 2 kids playing a prank on the Grim Reaper. Like just completely different stories, all 3.
Do you know, I actually only prefer the episodes, I think, from season 3 onwards.
Really?
So it's where the episodes nursery rhyme comes into it. I think it's actually when the split happens between Evil Con Cairn.
Yeah.
So I think when Grim and Evil was no more and the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy became its own substantial...
Yeah, because there was 2 seasons of Evil and Grim.
Yeah.
Grim and
so
Evil.
I think once the Grim Adventure starts, that's where it's peak for me.
Yeah, when it's just focused on Grim Adventures.
Exactly. Yeah. But you know, a show does a great job in its establishment when the episode is either about Billy or Mandy, whichever. Let's say it's Billy, and whatever Billy is doing, it has a knock-on effect. Let's say he kicks a supernatural football or something like that.
Yeah.
And no consequences, and it's unintentional for him. But it cuts away to Grim, having been so proud of himself, he's after clean the house, everything is spotless and it's sparkling. And then he actually says in his Jamaican voice, I'm not going to attempt this.
I was about to say, please do not try.
I'm not going to attempt this. But he's upset. The house is nice and clean.
Yeah.
And then whatever object comes into the house, it does a complete
bounce around the room, destroy everything.
360 and destroying everything. Like pipes are breaking, cabinets are being destroyed, and he just collapses. Why is this supposed to be funny? Because we know Grim is contracted to do what Billy and Mandy say.
Yeah,
and
he has to deal with it. He has to deal with what
like,
has
how
just
does he
occurred.
find time to be the Grim Reaper?
Yeah, that's an element that I did find funny. Was anytime the episodes would happen and it was Grim just actually trying to do his job.
Yeah,
I was like,
take us with you.
This entire 7 seasons, like nobody has actually died by the Grim Reaper.
No,
I'd be surprised if he gets 1 person killed a day.
But after the opening with the movie where Billy and
goes
Erwin
for
are in
Scar.
the future. Yeah, Grim knocks on Scar's door. He's got a hole in his chest. Scar's dead. So he's got to come to reap his soul. And then we have a big chase coming, and Billy and Mandy says, "Take us with you." And after they like blow up, the door opens and they're all like shadowed up by all the smoke, and they get taken by the monster police and says, "You're on arrest for misuse of your powers." 6 seasons now, and this is when it happened.
This is finally it. Yeah.
Yeah. I also like that they included Erwin into this. You know, Mandy shuts him out, and then all of a sudden he appears on the couch. It's like, don't worry about it. But I like that this movie, it's not a Billy, Mandy, and Grim adventure. I like that Erwin is involved.
Yeah.
I think the movie is better with Erwin's inclusion.
Yeah.
You know?
It feels as though it naturally progressed over the seasons that he would be a part of this group. It's not the Grim Adventures of Billy, Mandy, and Erwin.
Yeah.
But it's the Grim Adventures of Billy, Mandy, and Erwin is also here.
I suppose one way you can think about it is the big 3 with Star Wars, and then
And
later,
Chewbacca is there.
I was going to say Lando, but okay.
Yeah. Well, when you say trio, I think Luke, Leia, and Han. And Chewbacca is also there the whole time. But you don't say the main trio, Luke, Chewie, and Han. You know, you gotta
Yeah.
have Leia in there. So
I like that this movie brought back familiar faces, like in some of the the witnesses and the giant pillars with the hands. Fred Redberger's there. Dracula's there. Did you watch any episodes with Dracula?
I don't believe so. No,
I think there's this one episode where it's Fear and Loathing in
I didn't get to
Vegas.
see that one, no.
Grimm is looking after Dracula, and Dracula is like, Dracula don't suck. Dracula licks and gargles or some shit like that. And
some stuff like that.
He refused to suck poison out of Grimm's bones, and he actually did, to show Dracula he's not the old timer. You know, you'd have to watch him to understand him.
Yeah.
Phil Lamar voices him.
Oh wow, okay, yeah,
From
from Futurama, yeah.
But it's back to me being a 6-year-old, 7-year-old. I can't remember what age I was.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in this living room in a country for the first time in my life, and I'm watching the Billy and Mandy movie.
Yeah.
And they bring back the boogeyman, and the fact that Mandy mentions it, that didn't we banish you in that one episode to the Nightmare Realm? It's like, talk about, I know that, right? Mm-hmm. So what did you think of the movie? Because to me, the movie is the finale, and the movie, whether it does or doesn't, it's supposed to stand as the climactic event, you know, the Deathly Hallows Part 2 type of situation.
It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't.
No.
It just feels like an extended Billy and Mandy movie. And when we're in this kind of we're in this time period where TV shows would just end, there was no big conclusion. There was no series finale.
And that was normal.
Even though something like Kids Next Door did have that, you know, but having the series end where it's just any old episode, it could have been anything, it felt as though having them end it with Big Boogie's adventure felt right. That it was like, I don't need to see some kind of a story where Grimm has the opportunity to leave them, but he decides, actually, I'm going to stay, or he does leave, or something like
because
that.
he found friendship in them.
Yeah, I don't need some big emotional thing. I'm perfectly fine with them, with the knowledge that Grimm is stuck with Billy and Mandy until they die.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the contract, and I believe that even as Billy and Mandy will grow up, it's like, no, you said you'd be our best friend forever. Like, that's the rules.
But at many points throughout this movie, Grimm, without his powers, without his sight, is constantly placing blame on Billy and Mandy. Like, he says, I lost my powers because of you. Like, he's actually getting ticked. Like, just when they're about to start the race, he's reminding them, this is all your fault.
That's what I'm saying, like earlier, is that, you know, Grimm doesn't like Billy and Mandy. He doesn't like the fact that he's contracted to be their friend, but he has accepted it. And so he is going to bitch and moan, and he is going to complain the entire time. But that's just him. That's how this relationship works. He has accepted it, but it doesn't mean he has to like it.
The actor who voices Boogie, Fred Willard, I thought that's like near perfect casting.
Yeah, he's a really great voice. He's a really memorable voice.
I like that he was brought back into the movie, and the adventure that this movie has its characters go on. You know, they're taken away to be sent away forever, and then they escape because they're about to get executed. And then all of a sudden they're racing against time to find horrible ham.
Yeah,
and
you're
supposed to laugh at that joke because that's what Billy said when he brought up.
I don't laugh, Brian. I've never laughed in my life.
Horror's hand.
The fact that you have demons that are all dressed up as pirates, and then are also one of the pirates makes the robots that are sent back from the future.
Yeah,
like there's so many elements that are going on in this.
And why pirates all of a sudden? Like,
I don't because that just makes sense within this world. You can have any of those elements. You know,
because of Captain Wow.
Yeah, because of Captain Wow. That was a good one. I laugh at that one. That was good.
But one thing that did happen in this movie is when Billy was taken by the Kraken. And a bit of time had passed, and they're about to start the race, and Erwin just keeps bringing up how they need Billy, and Mandy keeps tossing it off as Billy's always going to be fine. And then she's second guessing herself, and then she starts to look in the river and she sees her reflection, and she actually gets all emotional. So she gets worried, her pupils dilate, she's getting really upset, and then she starts reminiscing of Billy as if he died. And that is another moment for that character to display such diversity in her characteristics, in what we expect. Like,
because it's all there. It's all just under the surface, and we know it is there, and it's like when we get to see it, it's a treat, you know, because we don't see it very often.
No,
it's very, very rare.
Very, very slim moments, but I appreciate the small moments when it does come up.
Yeah.
And then, but sure, he pops up anyway. He's fine anyway.
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah,
The Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Even Erwin has a few moments of good points, and he actually kisses Mandy.
Not the first time.
No, it's not the first time. But do you know when a movie from a beloved cartoon TV show comes out, it's like this movie's going to do things that never happens in the cartoons, but is always suggested that that's what characters are trying to do.
Yeah, it's the movie now, so we got to do it. It's something different, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to have consequences.
Yeah.
And of course it doesn't, but, you know, it's...
It almost feels like when you do a TV movie, it's going to be bigger, and you're going to see stuff that you never see before, and that especially is something that you're never going to get referenced again. Like, had this had happened in, say, mid-season 4, and we had season 5, 6, 7... they're never going to reference the movie. It feels as though a TV movie is never referenced, or very, very rarely.
The TV movie is a special event.
Yeah.
But I think the whole ideology of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, it really stands unique from the rest of it. And I think when it comes to Cartoon Network, I think Billy and Mandy ought to be considered as one of the flagship, if not the flagship show, when we think about it from our generation.
Well, you know, there was one element that I did want to bring up.
What's that?
Which is something that I was going to say I really miss it, but like I'm not watching cartoons these days. But
we will be now.
We are now. There's a few instances throughout the show, and obviously we didn't watch every episode, so I probably missed a lot of them as well. But it happened in the show and happened in the movie. And it was these moments where we're just going to cross over. We're going to have characters from other TV shows appear, and it just makes sense. And it happened, you mentioned earlier, where you had Yogi Bear and Boo Boo.
Yeah.
And they came on screen, and I was watching it, and I was like, how are they getting away with Yogi Bear and Boo Boo? And then Boo Boo calls him Yogi, and I went, oh, hold on a minute now. This is Yogi Bear and Boo Boo. These are Hanna-Barbera cartoons. These are under the Cartoon Network. They can use these characters. Yeah. And then you have the Keeper of the Reaper, and who turns up? Scooby-Doo. And he's down there and he's giving his testimony, and I'm like, okay, I really like this moment that we have where they're all under this one thing, and it's not like some big huge crossover thing. It's just just a sight gag. It's just a small little moment.
They're not afraid.
No, we're not going to ruin the legacy of Yogi Bear.
Do you know what it's like? I don't know, like, if you could do it now, like, live action is different, but it's like if you have some random MCU movie and all of a sudden Han Solo pops up, but in a more realistic, feasible reality. Yeah, it's Chewbacca who just pops up in like an MCU film, and it's like a sight gag. But obviously, you know, MCU movies are meant to be for action, not child's comedy. Yeah. You get that, and it's not even exclusive to that, where it's Yogi Bear and Scooby-Doo, and I'm sure there were plenty of other ones that I just didn't get to see. But then when, like we were saying there with the pageant episode, when Mandy smiles, and it's such a big smile that no one's expecting, that it tears reality apart, and the three main characters wake up as Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup as the Powerpuff Girls. Yeah. And then we get a whole ending sequence where we get the Powerpuff Girls intro, but with Billy, Mandy, and Grimm. And then Erwin is Mojo Jojo. Yeah. And it's just like, this is just really funny for the time in which it's made, that we get to have these crossover events. And then even with Boogie's Adventure, when Grimm says, when they take away his sight and they take away his title of who are you going to get to be the Grim Reaper? One of the kids next door? And then it's number 3. And we get her consistently throughout the movie keep popping up, and she's like, I'm gonna destroy the world, like little like moments of evil that she gets to have. And she says it with such a
gleeful, gleeful. So there's just like this level that, like I said, I'm not watching cartoons like I was when I was a kid, but when you do watch it and, oh look, there's another cartoon I know in my cartoon that I know, like, it's just like a great like symmetry. It almost feels like, oh, these were all people that were in an office and they were all working on their separate projects, and they were all going to lunch, so it's like, hey, do you mind if we throw in the Powerpuff Girls here? It's like, yeah, work away. There you go. It's like if I had seen the Cramp Twins or Ed, Edd and Eddy or Samurai Jack pop up in any of these, or even Dexter. It's like, yeah, I could see Dexter turning up. And then as well, it's like, it's this like continuity thing where Billy and Mandy are from Ennsville and Powerpuff Girls are from Townsville, and it's just like this level of Cartoon Network humor where it's like, yeah, we're just gonna pop them in Ennsville and they're gonna live in Townsville. We're not gonna think too hard on it.
I think I'm about to award you with something.
Go on.
So, is this what these things are called? When you're watching cable TV or Sky, and before the episode starts, it's these like little intros or openings. These like it's like if you watch HBO and then you always have that Volvo ad comes up. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about there, but it's like advertisement for the broadcast you're watching.
Yeah, these little like stings or interstitial cartoons. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like when you're watching Cartoon Network, in this case, you're seeing these little like promos.
Yeah.
Or like segues off Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And it would happen in between the ads.
Oh, yes. I remember they used to have like the laundromat and like Johnny Bravo and Samurai Jack would be in and they're doing their laundry together and stuff like that.
David.
Yeah.
I think you are going to have a field day of just going through like over an hour's worth of content of just Cartoon City.
Yeah, that's great.
So Cartoon City is where every character you can probably think of under the banner of Cartoon Network from our generation, from Powerpuff Girls to Ed, Edd n Eddy to Camp Lazlo to Dexter's Lab, and especially The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, random characters popping up in the same advert doing something. I am telling you now.
It's like Wreck-It Ralph almost, like this.
It is a little bit like Wreck-It Ralph in a way. And I think one thing I ought to do is do my best to promote these little intro moments or these outros, these gag bursts. I don't even know what to call them. Yeah. I'll know what to call them for the next episode.
Yeah.
But
maybe we can feature some of those on TikTok or something like that. We can do some TikToks on them. Or like put them on our socials.
I think we could. But that's one goal of mine, is to help promote that, because it's like these like moments, these like videos where we see these characters as if they're the real life people they are, and not the character of Johnny Bravo. Not the characters they play in the show, but they still act the same. Yeah, it's like they all exist in this one ecosystem. Yeah, you know, they're going out grocery shopping and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, like Professor Utonium locks himself outside of his car.
That's great. Yeah,
Ed from Ed NA shows up, Mandy shows up, Dexter from Dexter's Lab shows up. It's brilliant, and gotta give it the chops that it is. These shows, most particularly Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, did the shared cinematic universe before the MCU.
Absolutely, 100%.
It did.
I think I do remember some episodes that were big crossovers, like for like Samurai Jack and Powerpuff Girls or stuff like that.
Okay. Just because Professor Utonium looks like Samurai Jack.
No, I think there were some crossover episodes like that.
Okay,
I think I do remember.
I can't attest to that, but I do know that.
I'll find out and I'll show you.
Billy and Mandy did have a crossover event with Kids Next Door.
Yeah.
Billy phone calls the Ed and Eddy gang.
Oh, really?
And he like doesn't have any money to offer them. And then Billy answers the door to the Kids Next Door gang. But he says, "Hey, I thought you were going to be the Powerpuff Girls." So this is going to be a fun podcast to reminisce back on what shaped our childhood.
Absolutely. And that's the goal, is we want to shed a spotlight on things that we enjoyed as kids and we want to talk about, you know. So one last thing then, I suppose, about Billy and Mandy, just from my research, is that there were actually 2 Billy and Mandy video games. One was
I thought there was only one.
Well, it's yes, you are right, but also there were 2, and it was because of the, I don't know if you know about this, but like back in the day, you would have a game that would come out, but depending on what system it released on, it would be a completely different game. Like, do you remember the Simpsons game?
I remember a Simpsons game.
Yeah, no matter what, like whatever console that came out on, you were playing a completely different game.
Oh.
So the game that you may have played on a Nintendo DS is completely different than if you played it on Xbox.
Yeah.
So that was the case with Billy and Mandy. So on some consoles, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy video game was a 3D fighting game, and on other consoles then it was a side-scrolling beat-em-up.
I never got the chance to play them. They never came to me to play them. All I remember is coming home from school and I managed to sneak in watching them either before, during, or after my homework. Jesus, talking about blast from the past.
Yeah. I think that was a great first episode. I really do think that Billy and Mandy is a great show that really highlights what we want to do, is show the weird and the wacky and the completely spontaneousness of a TV show, of a cartoon.
One thing I did want to ask you, though, maybe 2 things. First of all, who's your favourite character, and what did you make of the Grim Reaper having a Jamaican accent?
I'd say my favourite character is probably Billy, which I wouldn't have expected going into it. I probably would have thought it would be Grim. But Billy is just a lovable goofball, and like, he can do no wrong, even when he is doing wrong. It's like, I'm never annoyed by Billy whatsoever, and it's just like, he's a spontaneous ball of energy that you love, and like the gags that they have with his nose, that it's a detachable nose.
Yeah.
And then with Grim having a Jamaican accent, it's not something that I thought of or anything like that I was like, oh, it's kind of strange that he has a Jamaican accent or anything like that. It's just a character quirk. Like, does the Grim Reaper need a character quirk? Not really. He's the Grim Reaper. He is the skeleton that's walking around the house. But like, yeah, sure, give him a Jamaican accent. Why not? You know?
I've got a recommendation, just in kind of honorary inspiration for this podcast creations. And when I mean inspiration, I don't mean yourself.
Okay.
Because thank you, David, for inspiring us to do this podcast, because you did take
Yeah.
credit for that.
Listen, I'll take credit for it.
You will.
I will.
But I do want to give a shout out to another podcast. Another Irish podcast that I believe is not on the go anymore. Last episode they aired was in August 2022.
Is this Cartoon Calamity?
Correct, Mundo.
Yeah, I was actually looking them up because I remember you had suggested them to me, and I had listened to a few of their episodes, and I actually thought about them the other day, and I thought, I wonder, are they still making any episodes? And it doesn't seem so.
They're not.
No.
But their approach was they watched the first 3 episodes of said show they're talking about.
Yeah.
And they do the likes of Ed, Eddie, Recess, Codename Kids Next Door, Mucha Lucha, Powerpuff Girls, Hey Arnold. Stuff we haven't seen. And I have to say, that blast from the past, going down memory lane to the realm of nostalgia, like how I differentiate in all those little descriptions of the overall goal for this podcast. I just want to give a shout out to them.
Yeah.
But we're going to release an episode a month.
Yeah.
This is Saturday Morning Cartoon Club, and it's going to be released every last Saturday of said month.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for Saturday Morning Cartoon Club. We'll be back next month to talk about Jimmy Neutron. So we're going to talk about the movie Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius.
David's pick.
No, my pick, yeah. So to make sure you never miss an episode, make sure you subscribe to us on your favourite podcast platform and follow us on all of our social media, which can be found in the description down below. If you have any thoughts that you would like to share and you want to hear us read them out about Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, you can send those into smcc@anotherhappystudios.com, which will be down in the description below. We also have another podcast, which is Talking Pictures Podcast, where we discuss the latest releases for movies and TV shows. So if you haven't already, make sure that you're following us on there as well. I think we're about to start into Pirates of the Caribbean. We're going to be talking about Pirates of the Caribbean for a little bit. So we do spotlight episodes as well. So make sure you're following us over there as well to not miss any of those episodes. This podcast is brought to you by Another Happy Studios, so please make sure to check out the other podcasts in our network, which all can be found at anotherhappystudios.com. That's all from us here at Saturday Morning Cartoon Club. All that's left to say is, chat to you later.
I'm out of here.